Hello everyone, King Comic here, presenting you with my very first commission showcase video. Now before I get into it, I just want to talk about artistic style for a moment here. Artistic style is what drew me into comics in the first place. It's what keeps me in the hobby to this day. I absolutely love to see an artistic style that belongs to a specific artist. What I mean by that is when you see the image, when you see the entire drawing, whether it's a commission or interior or cover artwork of a comic book, you know it's that artist. You know that piece of work belongs to them. Even if it's just a polarizing artist like, say, Sam Keith, who you either love or hate, but you know it's his artwork. That's the kind of stuff I love. I mean, you take a look at the 90s, for example, and you see all the wannabe Jim Lee artists, and no fault to their artistic abilities. In that time frame, if you couldn't draw like Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, or Rob Liefeld, you weren't necessarily getting work. But more so in this day and age, we see a lot more artistic liberties, a lot more artistic styles coming forth, which kind of leads me to our commission showcase today with the legendary Neal Adams. I was very nervous about doing a video about Neal Adams, and the truth behind that is, what hasn't been said about Neal Adams? What could I say? What could I contribute to this Neal Adams conversation? And the truth to that is absolutely nothing. So I'm just going to focus on his impact on the comic industry and my views on his very unique artistic style. I mean, you take a look at Neal Adams' artwork, and there is a sense of recognizability with his creations. So, without further ado, I will bring out my commission and show you exactly what I'm talking about. So, I hope you enjoy.
King Comic.
Alright, so I had met Neal Adams at a show several years ago. He had this gigantic setup, big signs, several tables with artwork, exclusive covers, signatures, comics, prints, pages, just about anything you could imagine. I mean, Neal Adams is a comic book legend. So, when I went, I was intent on getting a piece from him. I mean, as a huge comic book fan like myself, I needed a Neal Adams piece in my collection. So, as with every artist, I was very nervous to go up and meet him. But when I went up, he had this Superman tie. He was with his wife, just cracking jokes. Just the nicest guy. He had stories to tell, and he was willing to tell them. Any kind of joke possible. It was just such a experience that I wasn't entirely expecting from a legend like Neal Adams. He was the guy that created huge Batman characters like Ra's al Ghul, Talia al Ghul, Man-Bat, even Jon Stewart. I knew going into it I had to get a Batman villain. I'm a big villain guy. He's a big Batman guy. I knew it had to be a Batman villain. So naturally, I didn't want to go with the traditional like Joker. I have a lot of Jokers in my collection. So, flipping through all of his Batman comics, I decided on the Riddler. And I'm about to show you my Neal Adams Riddler sketch right now. I hope you're ready. And here it is. An absolute masterpiece. Now, kind of going back to what I was talking about before, and artistic styles, you can tell this is a Neal Adams piece. Now, for me, I can tell it's a Neal Adams piece by the mouth, the nose, and not in the sketch, but I can typically tell it's a Neal Adams sketch by the hands. So, with this piece, you look at the mouth, and it has this kind of upward curl in the smile that really suggests this mischievous nature to the Riddler. And you even get the scrunches in the nose near the eyes that just pulls the face upwards, as one does when one smiles like this. But what really tells me this is a Neal Adams piece is the teeth. The teeth. I notice a Neal Adams piece through the teeth. And this really showcases that. He has these kind of like chunky teeth. These thick, exaggerated teeth. And this is an artistic style I've noticed from him throughout his entire career. The nose, the mouth, particularly the teeth, the hands. There's so much that I can tell is part of his artistic style. And that's what I truly love about Neal Adams' artwork. And about any artist that has their very specific art style. I just love to see these little elements that guide me into knowing this is their artwork. The cool thing about Neal Adams was how politically active he was in the comic book industry all the way back in the 1970s. He was one of the main factors to bringing the artwork back to the artists and creating that industry standard that the artwork belongs to them. He helped lead the crusade that granted decades worth of reimbursement to Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster for creating Superman. This is absurd to me, especially nowadays, knowing that back in the day, back in the early comic book days, that people were not granted the rights to their characters, especially for a big character like Superman, who's lasted the test of time. Artists today owe so much to Neal Adams for how much he put into creative rights, which is super cool when you look at his entire bibliography, you look at his entire work and how he solidified his artistic style and how much work he's put into artists getting what they deserve. I mean, you can't discredit this guy for what he's done to the comic book industry. He's really pointed out the fact that it's an artist's medium, that this whole hobby does not exist without the artist, that they put so much into it. And we can't thank him enough for how much focus he's put into it. It wasn't just for him, it was for artists in general. I believe he had a huge say in even Jack Kirby getting reimbursement and rights with characters he's created. Jack Kirby, the creators of Superman, Neal Adams, these kinds of people were not being recognized for what they had created. So for me, to have a piece from him, this phenomenal Riddler piece, one of the most iconic Batman villains, a piece that just showcases how much iconic imagery, how much artistic style that Neal Adams has retained throughout the decades, is a huge honor for me. I absolutely love this piece. I couldn't be happier with this. I actually went to Neal Adams 2 years in a row because the first time I had met him, he actually didn't sign it. He didn't, which kind of made me nervous. I didn't know if like a signature was an additional charge or if it was something I needed to specifically request. So when I went to him the next year, I brought this piece with me and I very timidly asked, like, could you sign this drawing you did for me? And he was more than apologetic. He kept saying, like, oh my god, I keep forgetting to sign my pieces. I mean, he's getting up there in age. I don't hold it against him. So he happily signed it for me and then continued to talk about how much he loved the Riddler character. How much he just loves Batman and loves Batman characters. And I think that's the whole point of this. The whole point of his importance in the comic book industry, his importance to his impact on the comic book industry, is his love for it. His love for the characters, his love for the element of creation. And that much I can express how much I respect him. I respect his artwork, how much he's done for the industry, and how much he continues to do for the industry. I'm a lifelong Neal Adams fan, and back all those years ago, I couldn't pass up an opportunity to get a commission from him. My only regret with this piece is that I wasn't able to physically record it. I would have loved to see Neal Adams draw this thing from a white piece of paper to this. Unfortunately, I was a little too nervous to ask if I could record it. I didn't want to make a fool of myself. I didn't want to overstep my bounds, which does happen from time to time, especially with legends like Neal Adams. Hopefully someday I meet him again and actually have the courage to ask him to record the whole process. That would be something I would love to show you. So I hope you all enjoyed my commission showcase. As always, like, subscribe, even just leave a comment, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. Take care, and bye for now.